Any other discussion?
And trustees, if you made a good point in the meeting, you might want to just share it with the board, but it was the sidewalks, nothing moved.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a pedestrian using the public right-of-way, nothing changes. They have no less right-of-way, accessible, usable right-of-way with the encroachment than they would if they moved that thing back the appropriate number of inches and feet. Because as the photo that we see, there's that green space there. Brownish green space, planting space, pervious space.
So you're saying there's no sidewalk?
So there's no, I mean, there's no impact. There's no, yeah, it's not as if they're coming on the sidewalk, encroaching onto the sidewalk. The entrance back there. And as Trustee Rosick said, I think we've identified a good, we've learned something to do in the future.
Okay. Call the question. Got a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to move some items on the agenda right now because we have Mr.
Yeah, we've been waiting, but it's, yeah, so we can do that. But
So we're gonna take care of the update on the precautionary water boil alert first, and then we'll move right into the consideration of the village manager candidate profile, and then we'll go back to the minutes and the citizens. So with that, Leanne?
Thank you. You each have on your desk a bulleted outline of the events related to the issuance of the precautionary water boil advisory. In the interest of time, I am not going to go through that, but I just want to point out two of the more important bullets on there, summarizing them. The first would be that was an action that the Shorewood water utility staff took in response to an impact on the system that was caused entirely by Milwaukee Water Works with no notice to us. The second important part would be that during the course of the precautionary boil, we sampled drinking water according to DNR protocol, and all of those samples came back completely clear. No contamination of the water, all precautionary in the interest of the safety of our utility customers, village residents, businesses, etc. So you have that list. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them either here or in another venue. And you'll notice that we did outline some future actions that we intend to take just as a follow-up, and that includes meetings and discussions with Milwaukee Water Works, continued conversations with the Shore Police Department and North Shore Health Department about improving our emergency notification procedures. And that includes investigating some private services that offer those types of notification programs to residents based on opt-ins. So they provide us with contact information, and we build a database to make those contacts.
Trustee Rose?
Just one question, I haven't had a chance to read this, so I'm sorry about that. I read some of the emails that got sent, and the first thing that caught my mind, did we notify the news right away?
That was absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
so it was on the TV, you didn't need to have a computer. I mean, what I was hearing, I'm sure we all were, is you don't have a computer, you weren't going to get notified, but, so it was notified to the news.
Major news media received the press release.
And then is there non-voluntary, but, like Amber Alerts, you get that ding ding on your phone, the text comes through. Is there anything you can do for
Not that I am aware of, but that is something we are going to explore.
You have to have everyone's contact information, which is a voluntary option.
It's not
as a
did,
resident.
which
Yeah.
makes it difficult. We did utilize, the school district very graciously offered to help us get the word out. They have all of that information because most people associated with the school provide cell phone numbers and emails. And so that dramatically brought in the direct message that we could send to people. But it's a fraction of the population.
So all those emergency, I don't ever opt in for the federal ones, and they come to my phone. I can turn them off. Email settings. I'm just asking.
That's had a lot more,
Yeah,
Well, that's okay. I just
lot more
wondered
abilities than
If
we
we looked into.
we will be.
Okay.
And if I have, could I just take 30 seconds of your time, because I want to introduce a few people that I asked to be here tonight in case
Please.
you had more technical questions. And you know Joel, of course.
I know.
This is Dave Lindsay, who is our new water utility foreman. Sort of
Baptism by fire.
Yes. And then Tom Nenning, who you also have all met from City Water. So these three gentlemen really did the work in the field that day to coordinate the conversations and the actions with the city of Milwaukee that eventually reversed the system impact that we had. I just want to make sure that we've got the opportunity.
Yeah, my understanding is Milwaukee didn't know what would happen when they closed all the valves that they closed. Is that an accurate assessment? They were.
I think technically that's accurate, though I think it is a fair statement to say that when you're operating with a system that's entirely underground, it's always a little bit of an unknown. You have records and you work off those records, but they're only as good as the person that put them on paper, and sometimes they're not correct. And I certainly believe that had the city fully known the impact of that additional closure that they ultimately ended up doing, they certainly would not have done that, had they known.
And my other question is, there were people that weren't aware and found out later and were afraid because they used the water to bathe or cook or brush their teeth or water their pet or whatever. The information that we got in terms of the lab analysis shows that they were in no danger. There was no.
That is correct.
Can I ask that this be put on the website somewhere on DPW page or, so it's part of the public record instead of just being handed to us at the meeting? Okay, in some way, shape, or form. We did that?
No, we will do that.
Okay. And second, in a way, this was a great trial run for us because it wasn't Spiridium or whatever that, it wasn't Giardia, it wasn't something major, but it was, a chance for us to see how our notification, if it was something really serious, what would have happened. And to me, I think most people who are on Facebook or on their phone or have a smartphone, they probably knew. It was people like my mom who, is still on the flip phone and can't figure out how to do things, the senior population. And I know the school has a way to call your landline and do an actual phone call to people with a tape recorder.
Agreed, but that again, that's an opt-in process.
Right.
So
Well,
we
maybe-
need to figure out a way to reach out to people, request that they give us that information, and then hope that they do.
right.
And if more people would sign up for the village manager,
Have we done a direct,
more people would. That's an opt-in.
if we were doing a direct mailing, and it would cost us, but we have a second reason, if we were to do this opt-in, but to ask people to sign up for the manager's memo, I know it's on the web, I know we've promoted it in multiple fashions, but have we ever done a direct mail on that?
Not specifically for that purpose. It's mentioned in,
So,
Shorewood today has always got it in there,
Yeah.
but you don't.
but you know what I'm talking about, sure, but if we do something where if we have an opt-in service, if we can combine, and also say, and sign up for this, and you will always be notified.
All of us as ambassadors of the village should be encouraging everyone to sign up for this, but also I think that we can talk about this maybe items of future consideration, but we should look at encouraging neighbors. If something like this happens again, we'll get off our computer, go knock on the elderly neighbors that we know may not be watching TV or have access.
Lot captains?
So anyway, there are many ways that we can get the word out other than relying on future assistance.
Edgewood, we have the connection at Edgewood, is that open or is that work? Don't we have a second connection at Edgewood and
Down.
we have metered connections at Edgewood and Downer and Edgewood and Oakland.
Oakland?
We do have some unmetered connections that you may recall we had opened when we had the issues with the DRB valves malfunctioning a little bit. They did attempt to open that, they succeeded at opening it, it made no difference whatsoever at opening.
And you said, I think you had mentioned in one communication that you surveyed some other communities.
Yes.
What was kind of the typical process did you find?
They all said that's what we would do. We had a few other suggestions about putting signs on barricades, which we did when the alert ended. But you know, I have some concerns about how that would actually work to announce the alert. But
So I'm still waiting to hear from the head of Milwaukee Water Works on how they would handle a notification too. I requested that for, follow-up. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Break.
A break?
yeah.